Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. It is I, screaming into the void of the internet. Let's talk. I know I've made this video essentially the same time, talking about the same thing, but, unless I get it out my system, it just festers. Lovely. It just festers and, it's irritating. Talked to my friend. They're out of job. They're officially out of a job now. And, they're just out here, essentially doing what I'm doing. You're just doing what you can to stay sane. Doing what you can to hold on. And, I gotta admit, man, I think the implementation of non-regulated work in terms of, how companies can essentially just, collect your data and not have to hire you and stuff like that. Or maybe, non-regulated work applications or something like that. It has single-handedly been one of the worst things that these cocksuckers have ever done, This is why there is a massive, massive, massive unemployment epidemic across America. A lot of states will, try and sugarcoat it about, who's employed and who isn't employed. Be like, oh, it's low, it's incredibly low. That's just not true, dude. Because there's no way that I can talk to several people that I haven't even seen in years, and even if they are employed, they're barely getting by and stuff like that. But it's if everyone's employed and they still need to live with, a family member, a friend, what is that saying? It's saying that it's getting to be too much, I'm not a very political person, but my God, I do think that, unless we, massively deport a lot of these illegals, we're just not going to have a chance. Because you can't compete with an illegal. It's not that they necessarily do a better job than you. Doing a better job is mainly on the individual's part. It's up to the individual to do a really good job. And another thing about that, they can pay the illegals less than you, on top of the fact that, unfortunately, a lot of the people who do have jobs don't really care about the quality of job that they have. And I get it. You don't like it. You don't really see it going anywhere, and you're just stuck there, so it's why the heck should you give it your best? But still, I just think it's insane because there's so many other people that could use it. There's so many other people who are in a position where they would vastly benefit from that, and we're just stuck here and we can't do anything. I'm just really at the state now where I know how I am in this position, but it's my friend, dude. Not my friend. Not my friend, dude. Not. Don't make them go through this. It's just one of these things where it's I just really don't understand why this is so difficult, It shouldn't be this difficult to get work, My friend kind of mentioned something funny, He said, a lot of times, America is, one of the only countries where you need to, essentially go on a whole arse journey just to go to work. And then they're not wrong, Because it's just so competitive because they have it. You're so cluttered. There's so many people, especially in the city, that it's just so cluttered, and you gotta go all the way over here, work for 8, 9, 10, 12 hours, and for what? At the end of the day, a stack of dead trees and stuff like that. And then you pay your bills, and you never really live. I think the new norm is really just going to be people living in cars. I think that's, unless something changes, drastically changing, The birth rate's going to stay where it is, and I think that's a great thing, If this society doesn't really want to help the people here, then it's good that we aren't producing future people, because they have essentially just said, yay, go F yourself, is what it is. Some people that I listen to say that, they think that this is a good thing, because AI will eventually replace, and then, people will not be trying to, like, steal from the ones who are productive. The unproductive won't be able to steal from the ones who are productive. And I get where people are coming from with that, you know. But I think that people don't really understand that the unproductive people are such a small amount of people that it's not... I'm not going to say it's not worth it. It's like, even in groups that you assume, you know, like, are taking your money, like, unproductive and stuff like that. Let's just say, for example, a Blizzax, a Nibba, you know. People from the ghetto, the ratchets, right? Most men cannot get those benefits here, you know. Trust me, I can't get cash assistance. I can't get unemployment. I can't get food stamps. And even if I could get food stamps, what I get pales in comparison to a woman, and especially a woman with kids. Plural kids, you know. Even just one kid, like, she can get, like, $500. So, you know, the whole, like, idea of unproductive people just vastly stealing the wealth from the productive people is just not even close. As well as the fact that you have to consider that a lot of the times the assistance and the aid is usually just, again, I mentioned this before, like, essentially just a life raft where it's flooding water and you can just barely keep your head above it. That's what I'd say. It's not really designed to do anything for you, just, you know, get you a little bit of something. Unless, again, you're a woman with children. And I'm going to be honest, like, the person who has to worry the hardest about this stuff is usually the men. Because we don't really have any... We don't have anything. We don't have any, like network. There's not a lot of help that we get. Society tells you to go F yourself. And, you know, I'm sure that there are people that say, well, you know, if you're in such despair, why don't you, like, join the military? And, you know, I've honestly said that I'd sooner, straight up, like, move in with, like, an awful family member, or, like, force a terrible relationship and take advantage of that, you know, till I couldn't do it anymore, than, like, join the military. And the reason for that is the military, not the military, but this country is just, you're suffering because of this country, and then you're going to say that you have to essentially give away your life to defend the very people who screwed you over. Like, that's ridiculous. You know, I would not fight for this country. You couldn't pay me to fight for this country. And the idea that, like, if we got drafted, that, you know, you'd think that most of these people would fight, they wouldn't fight. You know, they wouldn't. And the fact of the matter is, why should they? Like, what has this country done except essentially cause all of your misery and suffering? You know? I'm not one of these people that's, oh, I'm anti-America. I'm for accountability. Okay? Like, that's what I'm for first and foremost. I'm for accountability. You have to be accountable. You have to take accountability for your life. And I take accountability for the fact that, hey, maybe certain decisions that I have led me to this point. But if I'm actually doing, you know, what I'm supposed to do, everything that I can, you know, when I'm looking for work, when I'm putting in the applications, when I'm making the calls, when I'm doing all of this stuff, and I still can't get anything, you know, hate to break it to you, something ain't right. Especially when I can look at the fact that, okay, all of these times where they say that they can't help you, you know, $1,500 to an illegal who cannot speak English, you know. People are forming, like, you know, they're building neighborhoods for these people. They're giving them cars. They're giving them housing. Like, all of the stuff that they say that they can't help you with while you're trying to get on your feet. Not even just stay there as a safety net. Just try and get on your feet. You know, nothing. And they're giving them jobs. They have to be setting them up with some kind of work. There's no way that they're just coming over here and just getting work. They're setting them up somehow. I really think there's some kind of underground, you know, labor system, you know, with the illegals, because obviously, you know, if you don't have a license, you don't have a passport, you don't have anything, no ID, then obviously, yeah. And there are people that just get away with coming here and just pretending like they don't speak English, and, you know, they just break all the laws. It's insane. Honestly, I'm just at the point now where I just really think that something's got to give. You know, something has to give. I don't think anyone's gonna like what might happen. You know, because what I think is gonna happen is usually when kingdoms and empires get to the point where, you know, the only people who are really gaining any kind of benefit are the rulers, and citizens can't really get by, then that kingdom is usually about to fall big time. You know. And we're already seeing instances of that, if you really want to think about it. The petrodollar isn't worth anything anymore. And, I don't really have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with America not being number one, because people all want America to be number one. No, America's an empire. America has ruled through the subjugation of other countries, controlling their governments, implanting people in political positions and stuff like that. And I don't think there even really should be a best country. I don't think that there should be a ruling country, I don't. Everything about what we deal with on a regular basis is just ridiculous. And, it's not like any of us asked for it. You don't ask to be born. You don't ask to be here. I'm not one of these people that thinks that everything's meaningless as a result, mind you. But, you're just in this essential, eternal debt phase, where you're just constantly paying back. You don't have any time to live. You're just a born indentured servant in a lot of aspects. Right? They put you in school so that they can so-called educate you, and then you become an adult and you're just paying bills. With essentially no hope in sight. Most people can't even hope to own a house today. Most people have also accepted the fact that having kids is essentially more expensive than a mortgage. And I kind of had a conversation with my friend, and he doesn't really have the belief that, it's as serious as it is to have kids and it's a cop-out. And I'm like, well, listen, man. Realistically speaking, number one, where are the quality people to have kids with? Especially for men. You guys know how the females are here. The divorce rate, the cheating rate, the infidelity, paternity fraud, that's a whole topic you can get into. But when it just comes down to, let's say that you actually have a good person to have kids with, right? If you cannot afford the financial responsibility of a kid, don't have kids. If you cannot afford the stress, don't have kids. And when you're barely getting by, when you are barely able to make ends meet for yourself and you don't know about work and stuff like that, why on God's earth would you put a kid in here? It doesn't make sense. I really think that the only people who should really have kids are people who can actually, afford it. And don't get it twisted. It is very, very expensive to have kids. It's just the truth, dude. Having kids is expensive. And it's something that you're not entitled to, in my opinion. You really aren't. Because when I look at these people in other countries, and even in this country, and even in this neighborhood, and those kids are suffering because of all of the decisions that their parents have made, and they made those decisions without caring any ounce of compassion, any ounce of concern for the future of that kid. And they're just here, and they're just barely getting by. They stay with their parents all the time. And listen, no offense, because I stay with my parents, but it's like, I'm not the one who, needs to raise a family here. You are, You're not married. You're a single mom. Maybe you are a dad, but 9 times out of 10 in today's day and age, it's a freaking split thing, and you're saying, oh, we're joint parenting. No, that's what a parent is supposed to do. You guys are supposed to stay together for the kid, and, you're just in a day and age where people don't want to work things out. It's just, with all of that, why would you have a kid? Does that sound like you're going to raise a quality, well put adult? I'm not talking about well educated or something. I'm saying there's someone sane, because you have so many people out here that are just insane. Especially after they go to college. They go to college, when I look at what college did to a lot of people, I'm just like, that's one thing I won't regret. Even if that did have a negative effect on me, even if that's why I'm in this position, I won't regret not going to college, because I look at what it does to people, and I look at how it changes them, and it's just not something I'm interested in. I'm not, I don't know, man. I'm just at the point now where it's like, when is this going to go away? It's not as though it's something because of me. It's not as though it's something that I did. When is this going to go away? When is this going to just get resolved, And I feel like the only way that this is going to go away is watering a certain tree of liberty, if you catch my drift. Like, I know people don't want that to happen, but I feel like that's the only way that it will, because people with power are never going to willingly give up power, It's only usually at the end of the proverbial sword that they give it up. And when you're just watching your friends essentially have a mental breakdown every day over like what they're going to do, it's just, I know it's just a phase. I know that things can get better, but you don't know how long it's going to take, and there are seasons in your life where it can just be overwhelming, It can be overwhelming. And yeah, maybe you overthink it, I do feel like I'm a burden to my parents at this point. But I don't really think it's just because, I'm not working. It's also just because, like, you're going to have conflicting interests as you age. And, there's goals that you might have and things that you might want. But it feels hard to acquire any of that in today's day and age. So what do? We spend our time just, trying to distract ourselves. That's why I feel entertainment is so popular right now. That's why we as men usually just are gaming, watching anime and whatever, because it's like, what else are we going to do? Think about the fact that we can't afford a house. Think about the fact that, if we miss just 1 week of work, we're screwed because of how expensive bills are. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, it's just crazy. I just really hope that I hope we can resolve this, man. I really do, because I really don't want my friends to either do one of two things: turn to something illegal, because it's the only thing that's going to keep them alive, which I don't blame anyone when they start doing illegal stuff, if that's what's going to keep you alive. If the law isn't helping you and they don't really have any sense of doing it, then, I understand. I'm not going to do it, but I understand. Or unfortunately, take a drastic decision and take a lead injection, or, go to a bridge, and it's, this is something that people are thinking about on a regular basis, I'm not going to deny, I am sick of waking up to this same thing over and over again. That doesn't mean I want to unalive myself, but, the same song and dance, because work's not amazing by any means. I'm not going to act like once I finally get work, everything's going to be sugary sweet or something, but, I can actually work towards a goal. I can hopefully start doing stuff to, like, actually make ends meet and find ways to get out of the struggle bus, because I have no intention on, like, doing the same old song and dance as everyone else. Like, if I had to, like, buy a boat and live on the boat or some bull crap, I'd do it. If I had to, like, just buy a room and just live in a room, like, just a freaking $700 rent room or something like that, I'd do it. Like, I'm just at the point now where I'm just exhausted, with how everything is being handled here. I'm exhausted with that, and I think it's well beyond the time that we all just decide, let's, let's just do something different. Because, like, if I finally do get work at this point, because I feel like it's an if, I do. It feels almost like a curse, if I finally get work, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of here, get out of this neighborhood, need to get a car, But, I'd be in, like, in a very small space where I know I could afford the rent. Like, I don't even think I'd get an apartment at this point, just a room, and that's that. Because if someone's, like, just renting out a room, then, yeah, But of course, you gotta be careful. You never know who the heck's in there, right? So you never know who you're letting in your house or whose house you're walking in. So, but I don't know, man. Because like even at that point, like if they did unalive you, then at least you wouldn't have to pay taxes. At least you wouldn't have to deal with rent and this awful economy, I guess. I don't know. That's why I've always had the opinion that you know, death always has this negative annotation with people, you know, and I get it, you know, especially like if my friend isn't here anymore, but I won't mourn the fact that they're not here anymore. I mourn the fact that I can't be with them until later, you know. That's what I will mourn, because I've never pretended that this world is, you know, an awesome place and stuff like that. You know, the world is rich with resources, but man is a creature of control. Man is a creature of control. And no matter how much resources there's always going to be someone that controls it to stay in some kind of hierarchy, you know. And no matter how much you might not like that, you know, maybe you're like some anarchist or something that say there should be no hierarchy. There's just hierarchy everywhere. There's hierarchy in animals, there's hierarchy in insects. You know, there's always some kind of hierarchy, so you can choose not to like it all you want, but it's not going to stop it from being true. You know, this is why I like reject all social norms, you know, because it would be different if that hierarchy actually cared about you. It would be different if they were actually doing what was going to get, you know, most people the things that they wanted in life. But when it's just getting a few people what they want in life, and then you're just screwed over, and they just tell you, suck it up, buttercup, deal with it, then I don't know. I'm just at this point now where I think you just got to do what you got to do and roll with the punches, because all you can do right now is just take every day, you know, one step at a time. And I gotta admit, man, it's rough on me, and that's why I'm like, God, no, dude, please, not my friend, dude. They don't deserve that. They don't deserve that. Because I know how it feels. It just feels helpless. You feel helpless. And it's not helpless because, you know, you aren't trying. It's helpless because you are trying and nothing's happening. That's the worst kind of helpless, you know. It's one thing to be helpless when you're not trying. Because, you know, like, obviously, you know, if you aren't doing anything, then nothing's going to happen for the most part. But if you are trying, and you're trying consistently, just daily, you're making an effort, you know, and nothing turns up, it's much more painful. Right there. It's much more painful. And I'm watching that. I'm watching that, and it hurts. It hurts to know that that's what they're dealing with, and I am concerned. I'm concerned for my friend because I know how this economy is. And I don't want them to go through what I'm going through, you know? I don't want them to deal with this. I don't know, man. I really think that we just have to... We gotta find a way to do something. We gotta stop putting our trust in these idiots that don't care about us and start doing something ourselves. You know? It's the only way that change is gonna happen. You know? If man really is a creature of conquest and control, then maybe it's time that we fight to regain control. Unfortunately, I know people don't like that, but maybe it's time. You know? Well, I think I'll just leave it here because, you know, I could keep rambling. You know, I'm not even exhausted personally. I just... And in this one, it's just heartache for my friend because I know the feeling of helplessness, and I know that they're dealing with it, and I don't know. You never know how strong a person is, you know, like anyone can wear a face and act like they're going to keep trucking along, but the next thing you know, I just really hope it doesn't happen, though, man. I really do, so I'm praying for him, man. I'm praying for him. I'll just leave it here, though. I hope you guys are hanging in there. I hope you guys are taking care of yourself, because, you know, there aren't many people that'll do it for you. And if no one's going to do it for you, then I'd argue that if you can find someone to do it for, not, baby them obviously, but I mean, like, check up on them, see how they're doing mentally and stuff like that, please do it. Because it at least helps to have someone there with you, And I'm really hoping that this situation is not going to make the person that I have with me do something drastic. So, thank you for watching. God bless. I'll see you next time.